I'm Ellen and I'm from the Lawrenceville Branch Administrative Offices. Today we'll be making a real favorite in my house called Brownies Plus. It's a recipe that I actually found in a murder mystery book by Joanne Fluke. She writes a series called Hannah Swensen Mysteries and Recipes. My copy of the Cream Puff Murders is pretty well worn, but there's also a lot of other titles in the series, and they have some great recipes in them. So today we'll be making Brownies Plus. You're going to preheat your oven to 350, and what we have is 2 sticks of butter, 3/4 of a cup of chocolate morsels, 2 cups of white granulated sugar, 4 eggs, 1.5 cups of flour, and if you've watched my other videos, you know that I cook gluten-free. So I use gluten-free flour, but even if you use regular flour, it's still 1.5 cups. We're going to use 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and then the secret ingredient is 4.5 of these really large Symphony bars. I have used almost every other candy bar, but what you want to do is use the really large ones. If you can't find the large ones, then the regular size, I think they're 3 ounces, you'd need probably 5 to 7 as opposed to 3.5 of these guys. So the first thing you want to do is prepare your pan. And you take a 9 by 13 pan and you cover it with aluminum foil so that it kind of flaps over to the side. And then you're going to spray some non-stick cooking spray pretty generously. So the first thing you want to do is melt your butter and your chocolate chips together. I put them in for about 30 seconds and then I stir and do it for about 20 seconds thereafter. If you need it, it comes out to this consistency. And you want to pour that into a larger bowl because you have a lot of mixing to do. So you're going to mix that with your 2 cups of sugar. This will be a favorite for any sweet tooth in your family. So you want to be sure that you're mixing it together. And then you can add your vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons. And mix that again. Then you're going to kind of want to see if your bowl isn't too hot. You don't want to have it too hot when you add your eggs because then you'll end up with scrambled eggs in the middle of your brownies. So you just want to take your 4 eggs and you just want to lightly scramble them with a fork so that they're mixed together. And you want to add those and stir them in. Next comes your flour, and I usually add about 1/2 cup at a time just to make sure that I'm really mixing it well and I don't get a lot of clumps. Rest of it, 1/2 cup at a time. If you're interested in mysteries with recipes, you can always search our catalog, but also our Next Read service, or take a look at Hoopla or eLibrary NJ. To keep adding the flour a little bit at a time so you get it pretty well mixed in. And you see it gets thicker and thicker. If you you don't have all the ingredients to make your brownies from scratch, you can use a brownie mix with this, because the secret ingredient is really the candy bar center. Okay, that's pretty well mixed. So we'll take our pan and we're going to add half of the batter to the pan. And you want to smooth it around so that it's covering all corners of the pan. Make sure it's not too thin anywhere. Else add a little more. And then you're going to take your candy bars and put them right on top of the batter. So you don't want them to overlap, but you do want them to cover as much of the pan as possible. Sometimes you have to cut some of the candy bar just to make it fit. But see how that is? It's covering, but it's not overlapping. And then you add the rest of your batter on top. I generally cook these for about 35 to 40 minutes. The recipe calls for 30 minutes, but I find that they're pretty gooey when you take them out at 30 minutes. And you can't really use the toothpick test with this recipe, because no matter what, until the candy bar or the brownies cool and harden, that candy bar is just going to come out gooey. So it's not really a good test to see if it's done or not. But I tend to think that 30 minutes is a little too soon to take them out. I do about 35 to 40. And you just cover as much as you can and put them in the oven. So once they come out of the oven, here's what they look like. And now you're just going to put your cutting board right on top of the brownie pan and flip them over so that the brownies are face down. And you're going to take the pan off and peel the aluminum foil, and hopefully this goes perfectly. You peel it off. And then you're going to cut them right here on the cutting board. And what I like to do, don't cut them too big because they're really sweet, so you don't really need a big piece. What I like to do is, after I'm done plating them, I sprinkle a little powdered sugar over them. And you can see the candy bar right in there. And you can sprinkle a little powdered sugar. And that's it. Enjoy!